Welcome to the new interesting news. 13/06. 2023. US says 22 soldiers injured in Syria helicopter accident. Enemy fire not reported at time of US helicopter mishap in northeast Syria where hundreds of US soldiers are based. The United States military said a helicopter accident in northeast Syria has left 22 US service members injured, though no enemy fire was reported at the time of the mishap. The service members are receiving treatment for their injuries and 10 have been evacuated to higher care facilities outside of the CENTCOM our U.S. Central Command Area of Responsibility. The U.S. military said in a statement on Monday. United States forces have killed a senior leader of the ISIS group in Syria in a helicopter operation. The U.S. Army said. U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, said in a statement that Abd al-Hadi Mahmoud al-Haji Ali was the primary target of a unilateral helicopter raid carried out early on Monday morning. 1 in every 10 children works, instead of going to school. Around the world, some 160 million children work to earn a living, instead of going to school. That's almost 1 in every 10 children. On Monday's World Day Against Child Labor, the International Labor Organization, ILO, shared these staggering numbers as a reminder of the urgent need to end this practice. Tweet URL. ILO's Director General Gilbert Haumbo said that for the first time in 20 years, child labor is on the rise. Child labor rarely happens because parents are bad or do not care. Rather, it springs from a lack of social justice, he said. Solutions: decent work, social protection, MR. Haumbo stressed on Twitter that the most effective solutions to the child labor emergency are decent work for adults, so that they can provide for their families, and improved social protection. He also underscored that tackling the root causes of child labor requires ending forced labor, creating safe and healthy workplaces, letting workers organize and make their voices heard, as well as ending discrimination, since child labor often affects the most marginalized. Staggering figure for sub-Saharan Africa. More than half of all those subjected to child labor, some 86.6 million, are in sub-Saharan Africa. According to joint research by the ILO and the UN Children's Fund, UNICEF, almost 24% of all children in the region, or close to 1 in 4, are in child labor. Bulk of child labor in agriculture. Most of those in child labor on the African continent, and indeed worldwide, work in agriculture. The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, said on Monday that agriculture accounts for 70% of child labor globally and that the numbers of youngsters working in the sector are on the rise. FAO stressed that child labor was 3 times more prevalent among rural smallholders in farming, fisheries or forestry than in urban areas. The agency emphasized that children often assist their parents in producing crops, rearing livestock or catching fish, mainly for family consumption, and that while not all this work is considered child labor, for too many children, their work, particularly in agriculture, goes beyond the limits of safety and well-being and crosses into a form of labor that can harm their health or educational opportunities. Copyright UNICEF/Roger Lemoyne. Children carry bundles of sticks along the road in North Kivu province in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Ensure that children have a childhood. FAO underscored the need to tackle the issue from the field right up to the global level. To ensure that children have a childhood, the agency is working with partners on eliminating child labor in key sectors such as cocoa, cotton and coffee. Together with ILO and the European Union, FAO has reached more than 10,000 women, men, youth and children in Burkina Faso, Mali and Pakistan as part of a project aiming to address child labor in cotton value chains by improving households' livelihoods, empowering women economically, and raising awareness of the problem. FAO has also developed a framework on ending child labor in agriculture, aiming to provide guidance to policymakers, and has supported countries such as Uganda and Cabo Verde in developing prevention policies. When he hurriedly left the Prime Minister's official residence, Palazzo Chigi, for the last time on November 16, 2011, Silvio Berlusconi looked like a humiliated man. Italy's finances were in trouble, with international investors betting against the country's treasury bonds. Prosecutors were on his heels due to the infamous Bunga Bunga scandal, which involved an underage sex worker. European allies Nicolas Sarkozy and Angela Merkel had made their displeasure with him public. Few would have guessed at the time how much future politics would follow Berlusconi's populist template. Berlusconi has died at 86, he had been in hospital in Milan, undergoing treatment for a lung infection. Yet look around, and you can see his legacy everywhere. In fact, the years that followed Berlusconi's exit from office vindicated his political style, which combined extreme personality politics, a skillful use of visual media and an unashamed demagoguery, all to tap into voters' disillusionment and cynicism about the status quo. It is hard to think of another politician more prefigurative of politics to come. Islamabad, June 12, Reuters. Pakistan paid for its first government-to-government import of discounted Russian crude oil in Chinese currency, the South Asian country's petroleum minister said on Monday, a significant shift in its U.S. dollar-dominated export payments policy. Discounted crude offers a respite as Pakistan faces an economic crisis with an acute balance of payments problem, risking a default on its external debt. The foreign exchange reserves held by the central bank are scarcely enough to cover a month of controlled imports. China offers Chinese wisdom over Palestinian peace talks. To fund projects, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas is in Beijing on a 3-day state visit in which he hopes to demonstrate that there is Chinese support for a Palestinian state, after failing to meet with American officials while in New York for the United Nations General Assembly last month. During what is Abbas' 5th visit to China, he will meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping to discuss the Palestinian cause as well as exchange views on regional and international issues of common concern. According to official Palestinian media, China has historically had a good relationship with the Palestinians and since Abbas' last visit in 2017 has consistently talked up its capabilities in mediation, although it had little to show in this regard until it brokered a surprise deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia to restore diplomatic ties in March. Karachi. As Cyclone Biparjoy moved closer to Karachi and other coastal cities, the sea level has started to rise along Sindh's coastal belt, prompting evacuations of a large number of people to safer places at a massive scale from the Katai Bandar area in Thatta district. Biparjoy, which has been downgraded from extremely severe cyclonic storm to very severe cyclonic storm, VSCS, moved further north-northwestward during the last 12 hours. According to the Pakistan Meteorological Department's PMD latest advisory, an earthquake of magnitude 5.6 struck parts of India and Pakistan on Tuesday afternoon. According to the National Seismic Monitoring Center, it said the quake was at a depth of 10 kilometers with its epicenter in eastern Kashmir. Separately, the European Mediterranean Seismological Center, EMSC, put the magnitude of the quake at 5.7. Adding that its epicenter was at a distance of 99 kilometers north of Pathankot in northern India. Dawn News TV reported tremors were felt in Peshawar, Islamabad, Lahore and adjoining cities.